When we look at the present, when we see what we are attending, we realize that there's a huge revolution, especially in treatment, in health treatments, and in prevention, health prevention. We are in the most digital and technological area in our humanity. For the first time in our life, we are able to see what's going on inside our body on real time. Hello, good morning to everyone. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Future Health, the event 2026. Good morning, Mamen, and thank you very much, and thank you. And I would like to thank all of you joining us to this fourth edition on our annual event. Welcome into this glass gallery at the Palacio Cibeles in Madrid, and those of us that are following through the elmundo.es on live stream. We are going to have a journey throughout the four pillars of the future of healthcare. And today we will see what is these pillars and what is the role played by Sanitas in all this journey. We are going to visit hospitals, health centers, laboratories, and on this trip, in a physics, because we are here celebrating the event, but we need somebody that will come and join us. And I would like to introduce Emilio Domenech. He's an influencer called Nanissimo. Well, hello, good morning. I'm just going to take off a trip in order to see what is the future of the Sanitas, and I have an appointment with a doctor, and we are not going to make the doctors wait. Of course, absolutely true that we never have to make doctors wait and arrive late to our appointments. Yes, we're going to go around the four pillars of health, and therefore we would like to focus on all of them. It is a wonderful trip, and the basic idea is to have a holistic view to health, and you have to fill yourself from the physical viewpoint, but you need to be mentally well and emotionally well. Those are the three areas, because before, many years ago, to be healthy was simply to be based on physical health. But now it is very important to be on an emotional and mental health that is so important. And our next guest here will represent. She has had excellence and she has changed as well the way we speak about pressure, self-confidence, strength, and in the Future Health, the event 2026, we have the pleasure of introducing here Simone Biles, a seven-time Olympic gold medalist, and we'll give you a round of applause to this gymnastics legend, Simone Biles. And we welcome as well Yolanda Erburo, Director of Communication, Sustainability, Brand and Foundation in Sanitas.
Simone. Well, hello everybody. Good morning, Simone. Welcome this morning, and thank you for accompanying us in Future Health. It's a real privilege, and we are so happy we are going to be able to have this conversation with you about health, well-being, purpose in life. So to begin with, we are used to talking about medicine in terms of medicine, technology, therapies, but health is much more than that. It's a broader concept. It's about feeling well-being, also being able to fulfill ourselves to our full potential. And so you've been a high voice in expressing how performance is not only about physical performance, but also about looking after our minds. How do you identify with that vision?
Yes. Now I feel like I show up the best version of myself when I'm mentally well. So for me, that involves going to therapy, and I'm no stranger to that. I've seen sports psychologists, therapists before. So now reintroducing my new therapist has really helped me along the way so that every time I compete or do an event, I'm the best version of myself. So I feel like it's the same as if a kid, um, has asthma and needs an inhaler, I have to go to therapy or I take my meds daily, things like that. So that's kind of what it looks like day to day now. But I feel like without therapy and without putting my mental health first, then I wouldn't be able to compete for Team USA, and just be training.
So you were used for a big part of your life to being judged by your results, by your medals, by your records, but also finding your balance, feeling well, it's as important. So at which point did you separate success from medals and records and results?
I feel like I separated the success from medals and the accomplishments at a later age. Now I'm in my later 20s. So I feel like it took me a while to accept that I'm so much more than that and I can do really incredible things outside of gymnastics. But at first, it wasn't easy because in gym, they do judge us every single day. And then once we go out and to compete, we're on a panel of judges. So we're always trying to be perfect, which is sometimes really hard to do in our sport. And so now I find it a little bit easier, but I've learned through going to Tokyo, at the Olympics, that I'm much more than that. And the accolades and the medals, they're very nice. And I'm so happy to represent the US, but I'm much more than that.
So exactly at the Tokyo Olympic Games, you made a decision to stop, to step back, to abandon competition because you prioritized your mental health, and that opened our eyes for the world. I would say you paved the way for many others that would feel in the same spot. What did you learn at that point, and would you do that again?
Well, I mean, mentally, it was very hard. It took a toll on me. I'm in therapy now. I am getting the help that I deserve, but it taught me a lot about myself. And I feel like for the first time, that's when I felt worth more than gold medals because people can relate to real life things, but they might not be able to relate to some elite athletes competing around the world and winning medals. So it taught me a lot about myself, how courageous I am to take that step to go get help, and that it's okay to not be okay. And I think that was the most important thing I learned through this whole entire process.
So we agree that no one reaches their full potential unless we have a caring environments that help us grow and feel balanced. How important it is for you, your team, your family, your entourage to
Yeah.
achieve that?
Yes, my team, my family, my friends mean the world to me, as well as coaches and doctors and therapists, because I wouldn't be able to do what I do without them. So I truly believe that it does take a village. So every time I stand on top of the podium and we hear the national anthem, I'm really grateful. But it's like I won the medal, but the medal's not just for me, it's for my whole entire team, and my coaches and whoever helped me get to that point, because again, it takes a village. But I'm really grateful for those opportunities. And I really have been supported well by my family and my friends, and always traveling to watch me compete and showing up, when I have really good days and really hard days. So my support system is everything, and I wouldn't have been able to do any of it without them. So I'm really grateful.
So we are also used to think about showing weaknesses is something that affects negative our performance, our face to the world. So what would you say to the mother, the father, the athlete under pressure, the professional under pressure, the teenager that it's concerned about showing that part of themselves, that weakness, because of a lacking balance in well-being and mental health.
I would say that it's not so much a weakness anymore. It's seen as courage. So I feel like we're finally flipping the script on what mental health looks like and how we talk about it. Because years ago, it was a voodoo topic and it was seen as a weakness in athletes or in humans. But now, having the conversation at the forefront, it's totally changed the game. And I feel like the more we talk about it, the more normal it is. And that we can have empathy for one another for what everyone or whatever you might be going through, because at the end of the day we're not perfect, we go through things, and it's okay to be open and honest and vulnerable with ourselves and with other people, because I think that shows the real strength in it. So I would just tell kids or parents to just be yourself. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help, and that will be the most courageous you'll ever be. And
Mm.
I'll be here with you every single step of the way. And everyone's journey looks different. So I don't want you to look at my journey and think I'm the poster child for it, because I'm not, but I can walk this journey with you guys and help you. And I'm rooting for you because you deserve that help.
And we are very grateful for your voice, for you raising that voice. When you came back for Paris, you had to rebuild your strengths, your connection with your body, with your mind. So that holistic approach to to being your best self, how did you achieve that?
Well, with my coaches, my therapist, my family, it was really scary taking those first steps, getting back into the gym. And I really had to learn how to trust my body as well as my mind. And I think that was the scariest part, because I was so convinced that my brain had short wired on me and I was never going to be able to do gymnastics the same way that I did before. So, relearning everything just from the basics and starting from square one and learning. And it wasn't easy, but the girls in my gym, especially the little ones, kept me going, and they would make me promise that I would come back day after day after day and just take that commitment and be courageous. And one of my quotes that I've always said to people is like, do something every day that scares you. And I was doing something that scared me every single day, and I had to own that, and the kids got to see it. And they would be like, you have to come back tomorrow, you can't give up, you're Simone Biles, we love you. If we have to see you do it, so that it gives us permission to be able to do it. And so that was really special. So I wouldn't have been able to do it without those kids in my gym. But learning to trust myself again was really difficult process, but with help, it became easier each and every day, and that's why I was able to compete in Paris.
That's very valuable insights. Thanks for sharing. You were talking about the environment to support you, and I think we all have a role to play in supporting each other and also to offer that help for someone who's suffering. So, what would you say to the organizations, the partners, the coaches, the colleagues at work that find ourselves in this circumstance?
Well, I truly believe it's a team effort. And although gymnastics is a team made up of individuals, we still have that team aspect. And when everyone combines their strengths together, that makes the strongest team. So it doesn't matter if someone feels weak, then you kind of pick up their part, and that's when the strongest teams are built. And I've truly believed that, because everyone is very, very unique. And every team that I've been on with Team USA, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, but when we put it all together, then we're pretty much unstoppable. So that's kind of what I would say for you guys. Everyone is going to have their ups and downs and strengths and weaknesses, but when you work as a team, then you're truly unstoppable and you can achieve so much more than just individually. So I think that's really, really special.
You raised your voice, you changed everything in the world of sports in terms of what it takes to really achieve success, not only physical or not only in terms of records, but also the well-being that is important to achieve even better results. So looking to the future, what would you say to the future generations of people about caring in a holistic way about their bodies and their minds?
Oh my goodness. I would say take care of your mind as much as you do your bodies, because when you get older, I don't want you guys to neglect that, because I've been in that position where I've done that and it's really hard to kind of get back on top. So as long as you stay on top of that, then it's going to be smooth sailing, but always like dream big, never give up, believe in yourself, and speak your truth and live in your honesty, because I think that's really important. And that's when you're going to become the best version of yourself ultimately. And those are things that I live by, that I've done, and that my parents have taught me, and to speak up for what I believe in. Um, and I think that makes a great person, role model, but I've also had really great role models to learn from. So I feel happy to preach that now.
So reaching our best selves and our best versions as a team, right?
Exactly.
That would be. So, well, thank you, Simone. It's been a real pleasure, and I think we've learned so much with you through this conversation, and of course, of your example and you being a role model for being respectful with your own body and your own mind, and speaking out loud about that. So also to understand how health is about the ability to live your life to the fullest, to protect our minds, to protect our bodies, and also to fulfill our potential, and therefore to pursue what we expect from life. So it's been an honor. Thank you so much. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your stay here.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Great.
La salud del futuro es holística. Es física y también es mental. Dos piezas que han de funcionar para que todo funcione. En Sanitas queremos ayudar a las personas a cuidar su salud, la salud física y también la salud mental.
In Sanitas, we have to help, and the destination is well-being.
Para conseguirlo,
In order to achieve this, we offer the different supports for the huge challenges as well as the daily challenges. We have accompaniment, we have to train, and we have all the technological developments in order to do it from any place. We have the different digital psychological programs in order to develop our career and to learn how to face the different challenges with a model that combines digital practical contents with specialized and expertise in our hospitals in order to work with Mind Place is the response of Sanitas in order to go hand in hand with our patients. It's a network of different clinics and centers to be available to those in all the countries in Europe as well as in Latin America. At the same time, the unit of mental health of Blua Sanitas in Valdebebas has the different diagnoses, treatments, and special care. This is our way of responding to one of the most important elements nowadays. It's one of the first units of mental health in a private hospital in Spain. This unit is a reference for treating specific cases because there is an holistic approach from the psychological and psychiatrist viewpoint. This is the way to round up the circle, and this is a trip that comes with us in order with our trip for future health. Thank you very much. Good. It's been wonderful to attend to this interview. It is very important to face these challenges, and it is very important to observe that there are many companies as Sanitas, which is developing and focusing on mental health. We have to know how to support everybody, and this is why digital treatments are good instruments. And preparing myself to future health, I was very much surprised on the solution of Sanitas, of doctors to improve their abilities. And digitalization increases the superpowers of the physicians, of the doctors. And these superpowers go in favor of the patients. And that is a fact. I think that we have to see and meet again Emilio Domenic. Let's see where is he taking us. Hello, my friends. I want you to come with me in order to understand how digitalization is changing the life of patients as well as of doctors. Everybody focuses on the needs of the patients and listening as well to the professionals. But would you like to come with me? Join me, and this is a user experience connected and avant-garde. Everything, the experience starts when you get to this hospital in Sanitas. That's where you start with the experience. Probably you got your appointment through your app in the mobile. Then when you reach here, the artificial intelligence plus technology, you can do your check-in in a digital manner. They tell you how much you will be waiting, and you get a message with your mobile. And when you are in the appointment, everything improves, not only for the patient, but as well for the physician, because before you enter, we already have a full file of all your previous appointments. So in a very short time, I have much more information, and that provides me the opportunity of take much better medical decisions. Now, at the end of the day, we don't need to write down all the notes of the patients because AI does the transcription and downloaded in the app of the patient, and then here we can see and we can do this with the patients. When you finish your appointment, you have in your cell phone all the prescriptions, all the indications for the next appointments, etc. You have all your tests as well. The development of AI makes that all you might have in your cell phone all this information. And with radiology, for example, in La Zarzuela, we have the resonance of 1.5 on Teslas, not the cars. And this is, in summary, it helps you not only that the technology is better and better, but at the same time that the radiologist will be able to diagnose the tumors in a much better manner and in a quicker manner. And how are surgeries changing? Well, actually, the different surgical protocols are exactly the same as they were before. The objective of the surgical protocol is to benefit the patient, to use the best technique, and to do it as safe as possible. The AI is changing totally the management of information. We have much more information for the patient, and this provides us the possibility of giving a better information to the patient. And now we have the possibility of rebuilding, reconstructing 3D. We can merge the different technologies of the images, and this gives you a much better perspective of the anatomy of the patient. This provides simple procedures. It enables us to do much better surgery, safer, and much more secure. Of course, if the surgery is minimally invasive, then it's much better for the patients. And all the rooms in the hospital are well conceived so that the family and all the different relatives of the patients are being much more comfortable. The rooms we have Alexa, are all digital. Through Alexa, we control the temperature, television, and they can call us at any time in any moment from bed. And for us, the most important is to favor recovery and well-being. And the huge experience continues whenever you have the prescriptions, that is the access to your prescriptions, the medical prescriptions, because the patient will not have to go to the hospital to renew the prescriptions, but you do it through the app of Sanitas in a very practical and quick manner. It is undoubtable that the health of the future will be connected and that the technology is improving not only the experience of the patients, but as well of the health staff. And amazingly enough, it makes that health is much more human, and listening to the patients plus the medical staff allows that we have, at the end of the day, a much better medical service provided. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Emilio. It is wonderful to have a little trip with him, and he will be explaining to us how this works. Digitalization is improving our well-being, and it improves very much the relationship between the patient and the physician, the doctor. And now I would like to invite Jesus Jerónimo and Marta Diez. A round of applause for them. Thank you very much, Jesus Jiménez and Marta. Jesus, he is the director of digital experience of Sanitas and Bupa. And Jesus was telling us that digitalization was improving. And as you mentioned before, digitalization in Sanitas is done by us and to provide a service to our patients. And I would like to repeat what Mamen just mentioned, and that is that we are granted like superpowers in order to treat much better the patients. That was our objective. If we see the evolution of medicine, big developments have always had something in common, has allowed the physician to go beyond his vision, and with monitoring of the different data of the patient and the minimally invasive surgery, that is what we are observing. So when did you implement this strategy? We already started this strategy in the last 10 years, but we are going to speak directly with Patricia, my physician, my doctor. Hello, Jesus. We have to go backwards to 2016. That's when we started with our experience of digitalization, and the first step was the remote appointment. While we are seeing this, we have hundreds of patients that go through this video appointment, and that is something that has to be implemented. Yes, indeed, Jesus. Today, the video and remote appointment is something that all the companies use now, but it was Sanitas the first one to implement this remote appointment. I lived that moment, so I can tell you that the beginning was not easy, but at that moment we're speaking about telemedicine, and now is digital health. So that first step to digitalization, we called it and implemented it as BLUA. That was to become the health of the future. We were the first ones for the video appointment, and we are observing many other tools that we are sending to our patients, and that is the challenge for the last years. and we have continued with the transformation. I would like to explain to you that Blua has three supports. We have the remote appointment or the video appointment now since 2016, but we already 10 years. But in 2025, we had over 1 million of remote appointments. Amazing, the figure, the data. The second pillar are the different health programs. It's not normal well-being programs, but they're all related with prevention and with the treatment of pathologies of disease, and they are controlled by expert professionals. And there's a wide range, some prevention instruments, and in order to improve the different habits, in order to avoid that the patients would enter specific serious health risks. But we are speaking as well and referring to highly sophisticated procedures, as for example, to approach those patients that are going through a difficult moment, as diabetes, cancer process, or different diseases. I've already mentioned that we work for people, so we do the follow-up of human beings together with technology, and like that we are hand in hand with the patients on a daily basis. I would like to give you my personal experience as we are aging. The glycal hemoglobin was reaching a specific level, although I had not entered into diabetes, but it was a little bit high. So I received an alarm, and I started with a prevention program. I started working with a doctor called Stephanie, and she does the follow-up. And now I'm going to give the floor to Stephanie. She will tell us how is my situation. Well, we're doing very well, Jesus. The important thing is that we are having an early action, and during all these months we've worked together on eating practices, exercise, etc., and with a normal follow-up. Those are decisions based on the medical data, because Stephanie has been able to do the follow-up using my data, using medical indicators. When if she wants some blood tests, she sends them to me, and especially she has sent the message that we have to convey and to implement small changes in our health.
Have you behaved well? Yes, I have. That's the difference, because we said before that before we waited until we were real sick to go to the doctor, but now we are preventing. Yes, I'm doing well, certainly. Well, there's something very important. I have to behave because the program is connected to me, so Stephanie can see whether I'm behaving or not, and I have a commitment to my health. So after all, what we're doing is personalizing the treatment of the patient before the real problems arrive, because that's the main goal, to be there from the very beginning and to go from a reactive health model that was the one we were used to a much more preventive and proactive health model where patients really need us, so that we don't reach the time where you really need a treatment. And as Jesus was saying, inspired by this personalized and preventive health, we have developed a third pillar, remote health. Do you know that while being here, the health promotion service people are monitoring the alerts of our patients, make sure that everything is under control. And when this is not the case, they have all the necessary means to make all the necessary actions to help them. This is a very interesting development. This digitalized healthcare without an appointment. Well, for instance, I'm going to tell you the case of dermatology. Imagine that I have a mole in my arm, that I'm concerned, and I have to review. With this personalized, non-appointment remote visit, well, I take a picture of the mole and I add some interesting details. When did it appear? Have I had any fever? All these images are processed by an AI algorithm that will forecast my case. And with all this information that I have provided, is analyzed by a group of professionals that before 72 hours will send me a full report with diagnosis, treatment, and all the necessary actions. And what is more important, if I need an emergency appointment, then I go into a fast-track process. And I'm going to give you a data. 80% of our patients solve their needs with digital interaction only, and the other 20% are in the best hands in our centers. Oh my God. So 80% of the cases do not really need to go to the doctor in person. Wow, this is a great way to make sure that health is going to reach everywhere. Yeah, we think we have really discovered something, because it is much more efficient for the patients and optimizes the system. And I'm going to announce to you that we are so happy with this, that we are expanding this to other specialties for digestive tract, and in these past days also with traumatology. So it is going to be our day-to-day in the coming years. If you are patients of Sanitas. And we know, Jesus, that patients will be very happy, because this service has a very high NPS. This is the indicator that we use to measure the recommendation index of our patients. And we're not surprised, because it is a service that we have created hand in hand with our patients and our doctors. So you have developed it with them. How? Well, for some years, all our teams are cooperating very actively with our doctors and patients through what we know Customer Lab, which is a virtual community that is helping us a lot to transform the experience we offer. Thanks to them, new services have appeared, like the one Emilio mentioned, renewing their prescriptions, where our customers renew their prescriptions just with 3 steps in the apps without going to a doctor's appointment. Now, we renew more than 100,000 prescriptions a year in less than 2 hours. So just imagine how much time we have saved our patients. And our customers and doctors decided with us, as I said before, to improve the day-to-day. And what is best is that they value this service very highly when asked. Oh my God, the fact that health is connected, well, goes way back in Sanitas. Thank you very much. It has been a great pleasure to have you both here on stage. We're still at Future Health Event 2026, and now we're going to talk about prevention because this is the third pillar of the health of the future. It will be certainly preventive. But what if I told you that prevention isn't just about eating well, doing sport, or sleeping 8 hours a day? Which it is, of course, but it is above all science. We're now in the midst of a very large scientific revolution, and preventive medicine is one of the great beneficiaries because it allows us to stay one step ahead of the onset of certain diseases. Now, we're going to go to Sanitas laboratory, which is a place where genomics is applied to our healthcare and allows us to stay one step up ahead of disease. Hi, dear colleagues, how are you? As you know, genomics is not only a fad or a trend in Sanitas, it is very important for the future of health. So I have come to the central lab of Sanitas to speak to two people who know much more than I do. Carlos, Javi, we could say we're in the headquarters of genomics for Sanitas. What genomics implies in health, and what is the role of this lab in genomics for you? Well, this lab has been the first contact of Sanitas with genomics, DNA. And genomics study DNA. In this lab, we have analyzed thousands of samples of Sanitas patients to see what the DNA entails and what conditions can they have. And all this fits within a pioneer program in genome sequencing in Europe. Well, it is a program called My Genomic Health, where we have sequenced more than 15,000 people, and we want to prevent certain conditions based on our DNA content. DNA will allow to identify certain additional risk in conditions like cancer, including ovarian, melanoma, breast cancer, also problems like cholesterol, certain diabetes. We want to anticipate before those conditions appear in the patient with a preventive nature. So genomics is very important for health because it allows you to see what are the conditions that you may have in the future and to anticipate to to them if there are drugs that are not going to be effective, you know beforehand. Have I said it properly? Yes, very well, and you're well informed. Information is the basis of prevention. Thanks to genes, we have been able to present a program based on drugs, which is called My Pharmagen, to see the impact of drugs on your genetics. Yes, Pharmagen identifies 28 genes that can metabolize 125 drugs that we know. We will be able to know whether the patient is going to process better or worse a drug, and with that, the treatment will be efficient or not at different levels. Oncology, high blood pressure, cholesterol treatment, some rare drugs and very serious in their impact, and very common drugs too. So if we land it and we go to our everyday life, 29% of the population that we have analyzed does not metabolize stomach protecting drugs that we take very commonly. So it means that the um, um, drugs is inefficient. And 28% of those 15,000 people that we have analyzed won't process properly antidepressants. Just imagine the impact that that kind of diagnosis performance may have. We help that patient to have the best possible treatment. We have used a prescription platform which is called PharmaCheck. We are analyzing all the gene information, all the inputs with the clinical history of each patient so we can analyze what is the best treatment for each patient and prevent the risk of any drug. We have a lot of relevant information that we can have from the different patients, not only genetics, but also allergies. And once you get all the information, you get the best output. Of course, PharmaCheck is great because it allows us to choose the best treatment for our patients and the most secure, considering all the different factors, allergies, um, genetics information, and drug interaction. Well, so pharmacogenetics will solve why do ibuprofens don't work on me? we will be able to analyze it. That is why we have pharmacogenetics. So I give the floor back to you from the central labs of Sanitas, where they have many, many sample flasks to analyze. Thank you very much, Amelia. We're learning a great deal today with Sanitas. Who would have thought that genetics determines even the effect that medicines have on us? So that is what we're going to talk about, genomics and other topics, and we will do it with experts who will explain how all this works. We're going to start with Cesar Morcillo, Medical Director of Sanitas and Bupa Europe and Latin America. Welcome, Cesar, and also um, Maria and Raul Rabadan, who's professor at the Department of Biomedical Department in Columbia University. I'm here with you to have a very interesting conversation because I start with you, Cesar, with genomics. It is not only a research tool, it has also practical applications. One is pharmacogenetics, which is a difficult term but very important. To say it simply, two people may have the same diagnosis, have the same treatment, and thus respond differently to it. What changes with a doctor has this very relevant information? Well, Mamen, everything changes, of course, because as Javi said, you can personalize each and every treatment, ensuring efficacy and preventing secondary effect. Because what's most important, each and every one of us have different genetic circumstances that will impact the drug effect, and we have seen that 20% have genetically determined interactions which are severe, and we are going to cause a very severe secondary effect, even death. And this is why 25% of people going to hospital have to do with secondary effect of drugs. So just imagine how much we could prevent with all this information. That is why we have created this product that Carlos and Javi were talking about, My Pharmagen, that will see the light very shortly, and with a saliva test that you will be able to do at home, you will have at a patient's disposal, and the doctors will have this very valuable information, and we doctors will be surprised by how could we prescribe medicines without having this information. Just imagine a world where no one is prescribed a medicine without knowing whether it is safe and efficient. This is the world that we are building in Sanitas. Something which is also fundamental, and I'm going to you, Maria, now, because you work in the specific thing in this process, how to take these to the patients day to day in an orderly way. How do you integrate the clinical practice, the hospitals, in the doctor-patient relationship? What lessons are we learning from all this? Well, first, I would like to thank Sanitas for granting me the opportunity of being here today. Yes, what is most important to us is to put in practice this medicine, but with a clear impact on the patient. Typically, the personalized medical perspective has always existed, but now we go beyond, because personalized medicine takes into consideration the patient's characteristics within the whole care process. If we have high performance technology providing all of this information, the medicine is going to be much more precise. So when we apply this very precision-based personalized medicine, the patient is at the center, and what do we learn from them? That the patient wants to get cured, but above all this, in the first place, he doesn't want to get sick. So we started from the reactive medicine to an proactive medicine that goes beyond in the sense that it is personalized and patient-focused, and of course based on biomarkers, which is allowing this to be applied. And where do I anticipate in the diagnosis, which is fundamental throughout the process? We anticipate the diagnosis and the treatment. So the anticipation in the treatment response is fundamental for everything that has been already said. And I would like to congratulate here this Sanitas initiative, because in the public realm, we, for more than 15 years, we have 5 SPM pharmacogenomics process that includes all the information, AI, and allow the patient to have the pharmacogenomics. But the key is that those resources don't have to stay just in public health. It is fundamental that organizations like Sanitas can take this to the patients in the private medicine. So I want to congratulate you, because we are very aware of how complex this is. We have been working for years, and we are aware of how important it is. So congratulations. I will go back to Maria later and to Cesar, but I want to go to Raul, because if there is a field where genomics is changing, is mainly oncology. We know that not all tumors are the same, even if they are in the same organ, that the molecular information can help us understand better how they evolve and react. What is genomics contributing in your field to understand cancer better and to have a more proactive medicine? Well, one of the largest transformations that started back in 2001 from the first human genome is that now we can read it. In the 70s, when the theories of cancer started, they saw that there were mutations, and we have different mutations, those that are inherited from our parents and others that appear throughout our life. And those mutations, all our cells have mutations, and most mutations don't have an impact. But when the bad combination of mutations appear, then cells start to grow and all this develops. So cancer is nothing exogenous. It is our own cells that cause it, and each cell has its own mutation, and each cancer is different. And if we take patients from pediatrics in leukemias, or we take brain cancer, brain tumors, we see each patient is different, both from what is inherited from their parents or what they develop throughout their lives. And these mutations happen because maybe we age, or because we smoke, we drink. There are many things we don't know the cause of, but they're different in each patient. So now we have the tools to be able to see it. We have genome pictures of the tumors, and we can see how that tumor is different from a different tumor. And this allows, for instance, to make therapies that are much more precise, and seeing that two prostate cancers that might be similar because they're prostate cancers, genomically speaking, they're totally different. We can see, which is one of the things that are now being developed, personalized vaccines for people. Before, the vaccine was the same for everyone for infectious diseases, but now we're seeing that vaccines are being developed from each patient. There are clinical trials in different melanomas which are showing very important and positive outcomes. Let me advance in a field which is also very interesting, because genome applications go into the field of nutrition. It is very interesting to see how DNA has an impact on our diet, or the other way round. And Jose Maria Ordovaz is an expert of nutrigenomics that we will talk to. He's studying this interaction between nutrition and DNA. He's a professor at Tufts University, and he is a pioneer expert in genomics. Mr. Ordovaz, do you think there will be a future when we will adapt what we eat based on our genomics to have a better health? Where is he? Hello, Mamen. Thanks for inviting me. Well, the very short answer is yes. We will certainly advance towards more adapted nutrition to each person's characteristics, but we have to make a nuance. It is not that in the future someone will make a genetic analysis and say you have to eat this and that and not that. The reality is much more interesting, but also more complex. For many years, we have thought that the personalized nutrition was to find the perfect diet for each person. However, maybe this is not the best way to present it. The goal is not so much to find a unique diet for each person, but rather to identify what people or what group of people could benefit more of specific eating behaviors. I would give you a very simple example. For decades, we have given nutritional recommendations as we all needed the same glasses to see. But we know that this doesn't work like that. Some people need glasses to read, other people to see far, and others don't even need glasses. Well, in nutrition, it's something similar. A general recommendation can be good for the population at large, but not necessarily will have the same impact on every person. Here, genomics come in. Genes will depend on how we metabolize fat, carbohydrates, alcohol, caffeine. It will also depend on how we gain weight, have high cholesterol, diabetes, high blood pressure. But genes don't act alone. They interact with our age, our sex, our level of physical activity, our microbiome, sleep, and of course our diet at large. That is why I like to say DNA is not a destination but part of the map. It can orient us, but it is not going to determine our bearing. Two people may have similar genetic focus, but evolve differently depending on their lifestyle and environment. What we will see in the coming years will be going from general recommendations to more personalized recommendations. So we will be able to say this type of diet seems to work well for people with this metabolic, genetic, or macrobiota profile, or this group require a more intensive intervention to prevent cardiovascular conditions or diabetes. This is very important for prevention. Now, many recommendations are applied when the condition is already there, but the great promise of precision nutrition is to anticipate, to reinforce resilience, and to keep health for many years. And we have to be prudent. We're not at the time when a commercial test can tell a person what to eat in detail. Science advances very quickly, but we still need more research, more diversity in the populations we have studied, and better models that will integrate genetics, clinical data, real diet, and environmental elements. So in the future, it won't be only a gene matter, it will be much more. It will be informed by also the real life, the genetics, but many other things, and it will have an impact very important not only for the individuals but also for the insurance companies and political institutions, because if we know who benefits from an intervention, we will be able to prevent better, be more efficient, and help people be healthier for a longer time. Thank you very much, Otavas. It has been very interesting. It is a very interesting element of genomics. And Cesar, I'm going to go with you because Sanitas patients already have my genomic health. Do you inform them of all these possibilities? Of course, nutrigenomics is one of the basic pillars of my genomic health because, as Javi said, after sequencing more than 15,000 people, we can personalize each and every one a health plan. We're talking about nutrition, as we said, we're talking about sports, lifestyle, things as simple as saying, okay, now I'm going to put on some sunblock or not. Well, it seems stupid, but if they told you that you are more prone to skin cancer, you would probably think it twice before going to the beach and not wearing sunblock. So in my genomic health, where there is more weight is in the assistance part of it, as we saw in pharmacogenomics, but we saw that 17% of the people have a risk of having very severe conditions like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and 5% of the population having the genes, the probability of developing a severe condition like cancer, like cardiovascular diseases, and have a greater risk of dying. But this is not about risk. This is about opportunities, because we have the opportunity of preventing the disease, of saving the patient's life. And this is where, thanks to my genomics health, we're changing the destiny of thousands of people. Well, this is very important, but it is very sensitive information. We're talking about relevant, important information. So what are the conditions that have to be met for personalized medicine to advance, but with the trust that the outcome of those information will be guaranteeing the confidence?
Well, I think that we have to bear in mind that facing this paradigm, all the data that we had for a specific patient is what you have in his own medical story or medical record. And then this medical record can focus to the genomic health, but at the same time we can put it together with all the external factors, as for example exposonic, etc. And this opens another window to a further larger data, and then we requires big data and we need AI. So we need to change the legal framework. We have to protect the storing of this information and to protect the management of AI, because the AI has to be framed in a specific environment. It's a right to information. The patient prior to their diagnosis, the patient requires a previous and post attention. And in Castilla y León, we have modified the different healthcare centers in order not to be treated this information by the centers, but by the patient. So this is a model that has to go hand in hand between the public and the private sector. And in my opinion, the most important thing about the revolution that we are observing is that we are making to coexist the economic objectives with the objectives of the patient, which is down in the center of this business model. That's where I think that the ethics is the main pillar in our development, in our situation. So now, not only it's important to generate more data, more information, but as well to know how to interpret this data. That's what Cesar calls the dark genome. So you have to explain what is the role played by AI, what is the computational and big data. As far as the genome, we do not have the genome of one person, but we have specifically the different genomes that we have in your blood, for example. So it's like to have different chapters, different libraries, because each genome is totally different. We are not capable of reading the whole genome. I can give you the different areas of your genome, and I'm sure that you cannot read read it. It is very difficult to interpret. It is very difficult to read, and especially if we have different genomes and different parts of our cells. What we are doing is to develop the different tools with AI, with computational techniques, and to try to consider the impact of a mutation in a specific patient. And here we get to know a 1%, and that is the role played by the proteins in order to function within the cells. The rest of the 95%, it is impossible to interpret. It's the dark area. That's what we are working on in the Columbia University, and that is the 50% that we do not how to interpret nor to read. But if we have the information not only of one patient but of everybody here present, then you get is information, larger information of different groups of people, and then you will be able to interpret the meal significance of all this data. So little by little, we are trying to interpret this percentage of the genome that we are totally without any light shed on this issue. We are very much interested now in this event to try to understand how the final patient gets this information. For example, Carolina, let us, we are going to a video here, and we will see the experience of Carolina. This program has changed my life totally. I feel much more peaceful, not only about my health, but as well about my children's health. My name is Carolina González. I've been for 20 years with the Sanitas insurance. I did this study because, first of all, I thought it was a wonderful project. I think it is information that everybody needed to have. And as well for a personal reason, because 3 years ago, my mother-in-law and my husband passed away by a specific cancer process. From the experience from the very beginning was fantastic. Simply you had a blood test, and 2 months later, a genetist called me to give me the results. In my specific case, there was a mutation in BRCA1 that is associated to high risk of breast and ovarian cancer. She told me the different steps. They told me that they would introduce me with an oncologist and with a gynecologist as well. I had the meeting, the appointment with the oncologist, and the same day I had the meeting or the appointment with the gynecologist. In February, I had a surgery of ovarian and trumps, and after, on the 24th of March, I had a double mastectomy. It was not an easy decision, but it was the only option for me not to suffer a cancer in the future. It was a complicated situation, but it was the possibility of giving me more long time quality of life. The information given to me by the physicians, by the doctors, was wonderful. And after, you get a follow-up of the genetist, because not only the gen that I had this mutation, but as well you get other information, which is not that important, but they tell you, you can treat this in this manner, you get some advice. It is a full holistic approach, and even they tell you what are the different drugs and medicines that you accept better, and if you have the opportunity, you have to go through that process, and especially for young people. In my specific case, my daughter had the same experience, and she has exactly the same mutation, and we have eliminated terminated her risk because she had the surgery 2 months ago. And you get the feeling that the company in this program is taking care of myself and my daughter's life. I feel much more confident about my health process and my children as well. How they do this process, the way they convey the information, how you're taken care, and the fact that I provide this information to my children, I think it is very, very important. And the fact that I've gone through this from the health viewpoint, it's the best the best option without chemotherapy, radiotherapy, without those processes that are very complicated. I think I am eternally grateful. I think that everybody should go through this genomic study because it provides you with such an important and valuable information. It is perhaps you're scared, but that is very easy to overcome. And what the information that you earn is much more important than the complicated circumstances that you might live. I think that everybody has to go through this program because it's a very trustworthy, holistic, digital, preventive. And we are reaching the fourth pillar, which is, that 30,000 people a year in Spain fall ill or die due to pollution, according to the data that Sanitas has from the Chair of Health and Environment at the University of Navarra. So it is very obvious that the health of the future has to be sustainable. And to take care of ourselves, I think it is important not only of ourselves, but as well of our environment. So let's call Emilio Dominic. Where are you now? I'm in the Metropolitan Forest in Madrid, and here we are going to do a little journey divided into 4 stages. Dr. Fray Lopez, you're enjoying of this wonderful view. Yes, I am. Why did you want to meet with me precisely here? Yes, because I want you to see the environment that we have here, because our health is very much linked to the reforestation of our environment. This is a very interesting situation that what you see today here, you will see it in a future as a big tree. Yes, precisely. That is what we call the green prescription. That is to prescribe our patients contact with nature because it activates biological mechanisms that would favor our development, not only mental, physical, but as well our cardiovascular health. So can you give me this recipe? But our trip on sustainability has to continue. We are going to enter the Blue Hospital in Valdebebas. It has very important steps forward on sustainability. And in order to understand this, I came here to have a chat with Dr. Amparo Esteban. For us, ecological footprint is very, very important. The carbon footprint, the water footprint, and the ecological footprint. From the energy viewpoint, we see the life cycle of the equipment that we have. That is the election of these devices go through, and we try to rent or lease these devices of this pack that saves on a 40% of the energy. We use renewable energy. We emit the lower number of emissions and the different parts of the devices. And what we have noticed is that since we use this green radiology, we see a 65% of reduction of radiation on patients. And this reduction is not only is reflected in the health of the patients, but as well on the waste, radiological waste. On these new generation scanners and tax scanners, we see that we control the radiation not only in the patients, but as well the radiation issued on the environment. So thank you very much, Amparo. And now for the next stage, welcome to the University Hospital of La Zarzuela. We want to speak with Emilio Matute, and expert in anesthetics. We try to reduce the carbon, the sustainable anesthesia, trying to avoid all this in the protoxin, in the nitrous oxide, in the this fluorine, and here we have the different techniques that are very, very important and very safe for our patient with the different collateral effects for the patient. And we reduce at the same time the different anesthetic gases that we use. How do you reduce the use of these gases? Well, through development, through new technologies, as for example, anesthetic ventilators that reduce at a maximum this use. And we're speaking about technology, but the air that we breathe within the hospital, how can we do this in this specific center? Yes, as a matter of fact, we have a project to improve, but I'm going to give the floor to our expert that we have with the University of Navarra. And Jesus, can you told us the project of the digital genome? Well, this process in Sanitas La Moraleja is to use the building on the consumption, energy consumption, and the different characteristics that we have, as for example, the temperature, the quality of air, and it incorporates a specific model in order to study the human reactions of the patients. And this genome enables to predict what would be the within the health of the patients and within the building as well, the specific limits for patients. So I think this is amazing because you're getting these developments in order to implement it for the benefits for the patient. So green radiology and this green recipe that shows that in Sanitas sustainability has very much connection, because to take care of the health of the planet means to take care of the health of our patients. Thank you very much.
It is very interesting to see how hospitals are not only places where you treat and care for people, but also places from which we can care for the environment and heal the environment. So it is a change of mentality. Not only this, Sanitas hospitals are becoming like preventive campuses where they prescribe contact with nature. So what Esther Vaquero said before, our environment, the cities, have an enormous impact, a direct impact on how we live, how we get sick, and how we heal. So to keep talking about this very interesting topic, we have two women experts who work in different realms. We have Maria Neira, former director of the Department of Public Health and Environment at the World Health Organization, one of the most recognized voices on the relationship between public health, the environment, climate change, and prevention. It is a great pleasure. Maria, come up here, please. And we're also joined by Giselle Sebak, Executive Director of the International Society for Urban Health, a specialist in how cities, neighborhoods, and public spaces can become drivers of health, well-being, and equity. I'm going to ask Giselle to come up here. Thank you very much. Please take your seat. They work in different realms, global health, urban design, but they have the same objective, prevention for the future challenges. So Maria, Giselle, we're looking forward to listening to what you have to say.
Muchas gracias, Mamen. Hola, Giselle. Si no
Thank
les
you very
importa, voy a
much,
empezar en
Mamen.
español, pero después
Hello,
pasaremos
Giselle.
al
I'm going
inglés.
to start in Spanish, then I will
Hemos
switch to
visto que el
English.
futuro
We
de la
have seen
salud
that health future is not improvised. It has to be strategically planified and designed. We're going to design it with this new digitalization, this personalized medicine, genomics, that holistic capacity of understanding health, which is not only treating our patients, but also from the very beginning where health starts. And here's where I wanted to start. Where does our health truly start? I'm going to tell you a secret. It doesn't start in hospitals. Health starts much before, in those urban spaces where we live in, where in 20 years more than 70% of the people will leave. It starts with this healthcare, how to prevent, and understanding that sustainability is a basic pillar. And I would say that apart from the fourth pillar, as it has been pointed out here, it is like the conducting line that will make sure that those initiatives make sense and are sustainable, because without that sustainability, everything can collapse. So at the end of the day, it is not only a matter of taking care of our planet. For some people, that image of the glaciers melting and the polar bears haven't touched them enough. But sustainability is a health matter, and that's it. And it is also a fantastic opportunity to make primary prevention. But let's start from the beginning. Where does our health start? And as I said, it doesn't start in hospitals. It starts in the cities that have to design in a healthy way what we are going to become. And the health system, of course, and who are we going to do all this with? We will be doing it with the mayors, with those who have the decision-making capacity, political making capacity, that will decide on whether the cities are going to be healthy or not. And they will be what I like to call them the new health ministers, both men and women. But also you here, those top managers of Sanitas, of Pupa, those of you who are working one way or other in global health, you are also ambassadors of health, of this primary prevention policy. It is a great pleasure that Mamen mentioned the 13 million casualties that could be prevented if environmental factors were taken care of. And I like to say this because I had the opportunity 12 years ago to work on this at the WHO. Could we prevent 25% of the diseases and mortality if we work in those environmental factors?
Looking at what determine our health, obviously our cities are part of that. So you have working with cities, you are working extensively with cities. How we translate this prevention philosophy, which should be our principle, into city interventions, and what are the health outcomes that you have shown in the past? Over to you, Giselle.
Thank you so much. Well, as you said so beautifully, I think the most important point is that prevention really doesn't start when somebody enters the hospital or a clinic. It really starts much earlier than that, at home, in the places that we spend our time, the places that we live, work, and play and age. But of course, some of the most important decisions that impact our health are actually made by people who don't consider themselves health professionals. As you said, mayors are making these decisions. Everybody, all of us who actually have an impact on the determinants of our physical health, our mental health, and our social health are making an impact in our health. So these are thinking about people like architects, like myself, urban planners, housing officials, real estate developers, employers, or community leaders. You know, these are the people who are deciding whether our streets have shade, whether a child can safely walk to school or not, whether a public square exists to invite you in and to sit and connect and meet with people. So I always like to say and remind us all that even if we don't have health in our job title, we're all public health workers. And this is something so important to keep in mind. Because a sidewalk, it's not just a sidewalk, it's actually physical activity infrastructure. And of course, a tree isn't just landscaping. This is something that is going to help us bring shade. It's going to help give us mental health support. A bench isn't just furniture, it's actually social health infrastructure. So that's why I really think that built environment matters so much. But if we continue to design our cities really focused on cars and long commutes and isolation from each other, then we're going to really make it harder for people to move and connect and to be healthy. But at the flip side, if we start thinking about how we can really create cities and environments that support our health for people, then we're going to make it so much easier to connect with each other and get physical activity in daily life. Really, what I want to say is that any city can do this. We have the example of Amsterdam. Everybody thinks Amsterdam is such a beautiful, perfect example. But if you think about it, Amsterdam actually, it didn't start that way. It used to have a ton of cars, a ton of pollution, a ton of traffic. In the picture that you see on the screen here, back in 1971, not all that long ago, 400 children were killed by cars that year in the Netherlands. And so there was really a citizens movement that said, well, we don't want to have children dying when we don't need to. This is preventable death. How can we actually change our city to support our health? And with that, the city undertook a big bicycle infrastructure project. And today we have one of the highest bicycle mode shares in the entire world, where people are getting physical activity and mental health benefits, and of course, many less accidents. And we also have the example of Paris. Paris, only 10 years ago, it's hard to believe, but only 10 years ago, the people or who had the best access to the city's beautiful natural assets. And of course, we know that blue infrastructure, that blue zones like the river here, the River Seine, it gives a huge amount of health benefits to all of us, but who had the best access was the cars. So it was only 10 years ago that the city council voted to permanently ban cars along the Seine River. And nowadays we can connect, we can enjoy the shade, we can enjoy our river again. We have an example that's very well known here in Spain, in Pontevedra. Pontevedra decided to choose people over cars. They pedestrianized their city center. And what's notable about Pontevedra is that now it's really set up to be a healthy city, and people want to live in healthy cities. And that's why it's one of the only small and medium-sized cities in Spain that's not actually shrinking and losing population, but people are moving there. It's growing. Its economy is growing. People want to live there and enjoy their lives. So I would say for me, the best prevention that we can have is making cities that support our health, that make the healthy choice really the easy choice and built into every day.
So in fact, what determines our health is not just the health professionals, hospitals, and all the health system, but the urban planners. And I know that today there are many architects, mayors, of course, and of course responsible for health. And what we need to do in our cities will determine enormously whether we will be healthy or not. We need to reduce air pollution in our cities. We need the architects and engineers telling us what are the best measures to make our buildings more efficient. We need to promote the use of renewable energy. We need to make sure that we have green areas, because that will be good for mental health as well. And we need to make sure that people will not be just on a sedentary lifestyle, but you can connect, you can walk, you can do what Anne Hidalgo did in Paris, which is absolutely amazing. It was not easy. She was very courageous, but I think if you have the right policymaker, you can move
mountains. And if you move mountains, you will do it for health. But this is at the city. We can do it at our own health system as well. And as you know, we are now moving very strongly on what we call greening the health sector or decarbonizing the health sector. And of course, your role on that is fundamental. You heard it from the anesthesiologist, you heard it from other specialists, radio and others, that we can reduce on an incredible way our carbon footprint. Don't forget that, because it's not just about a sustainability and maybe a corporate responsibility. It's about as well promoting the health of the people and preventing very much at the beginning. So, Giselle, I think our time is over. We have plenty of things to say. You are losing it, but I'm sure that we will have opportunity later on. But let me tell you something. The future of health will be all of the beautiful things we heard: nutrition, genomics, personalized medicine, digitalization, human as well. But without sustainability, forget about it. No health and no future for health and the health professionals. So thank you very much for your attention. And we are not the four pillar. We are the one making the connection between all of them.
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you very much, Giselle. It was a wonderful conversation, the one we had, this dialogue. And we know very well that health does not depend only on what happens in an appointment, but it has a lot of influence as well on the area where we live, on the air that we breathe. And we are reaching the end of the event, the four pillars of the health: the holistic, the digital, preventive, and sustainable. Those are the four pillars of the present and the future. And we are going to continue on the different projects that Sanita has. And the best person to explain on innovation, and we will give the floor to Carlos Jaureguizar. He's the CEO of Sanitas and Bupa. Carlos, he will be presenting what are the main key elements of 2027. So we invite you to speak here. It has been a great pleasure for us to be here with you, and we are going to show you a video first, and then we will give the floor to Carlos.
Los mejores, los que te hacen aprender, los que nunca olvidarás.
The good, the best, the ones who make you learn. And so many years you still have to live. Your life is made of all sort of moments, and this is what is absolutely necessary to enjoy them. We have been working for many years in the future of health, and now it is a reality.
La salud es holística, cuerpo y mente, salud
Because today's health is holistic, and if you live a very full and complete life, all the developments would facilitate the connection between the patients and the health professionals. Health is preventive, and we have the ability of looking before to cure before it hurts. Health is sustainable, and to take care of people is not possible if we do not take care of the world we are living in. Health in the future is the basis, because there's only one health.
Thank you very much for being here today, those in person, those online. Thank you to Esther, to the speakers, to those behind the organization. It has been an exceptional morning where we have spoken about the health of future. And when I think about the health of future, I see two things. One is that health is full of challenges, global challenges, local challenges. But I'm optimistic when I see health I know we will have a medicine that will reach out to many more people, will extend life expectancy, and we have to be optimistic because the future of health, the future of medicine looks very well. And secondly, I have been working for 20 years at Sanitas in Bupa, and we always wondered how the future would be. I remember conversations in 2016, 2012, speaking about the future. And now we are in a turning point. There are solutions, tangible things that already exist that are having a great impact on the future, and we have to be aware of that. We are in that turning point, and we are all at a time when we have to make decisions on the impact we will be having on the future, and it is a good example today. After this event, you will go back to your office and you will be asked, what did you do today? And if you only have 30 seconds, I would say, the future medicine is holistic, but I would add an adjective. It is holistic but personalized. What we have seen today is personalization is absolutely essential for the future of medicine. First message, if you have more time because your meeting is later or because you're talking to your family tonight and you can elaborate a little bit more, there are three pillars. The first is prevention. Prevention has a greater and greater weight, and we have seen two very good examples today. My genomic health, Cesar has given us very great examples of how that is a reality already. We have 15,000 people that have given their information that allow us to treat them in a much more personalized way and with a great impact. We have seen one video today, but we could have recorded 10, 15, 20 of how my genomic health has changed the life. Of course, this has to escalate to keep transforming the health of the future. And second, mental health. Mental health is a strategic pillar for Bupa, for Sanitas. We want to have more than 200 centers throughout the world, mental health specific, but this is linked to prevention. There are many studies that show that some people take 7 years to raise their hand, go to specialists and ask for help. But we, as health professionals, we are responsible for providing them with a solution, with having a center to go to. So prevention and mental health are strongly linked. We want to start helping much before the mental health becoming a severe one. So the first, prevention. Second, digital. You have seen various examples today of how digital technology is helping change medicine, and 30% of our appointments are digital appointments, and this is linked to digitalization. And the digital world allow you to have an appointment regardless of where you live, um, to ask for information and be answered in hours, and this is spectacular. So this digital world is more and more personalized and has a greater impact, a very important point. And it is certainly linked to sustainability. You have seen 2025, more than 1 million appointments, but I believe in total it has been more than 25 million. So we have saved more than 10 million people from commuting, taking a bus, taking the car. So the impact in sustainability is amazing. And finally, connected health. I would say that this is the pillar that has a greater challenge. The amount of information we have is astonishing. Not only that, the system health, we all know you have insurance companies, suppliers, providers, doctors, private and public system, and everything has to be connected. So we have the responsibility of connecting the dots so that the customer journey can be guided and can get the best personalized solution. So this is a very good summarize when you are asked about the health future holistic, but with the adjective personalized, holistic, preventive, an important weight, digital and connected. But you will probably be told, but I'm sorry, I don't understand. Haven't you spoken about AI? Because 80% of the questions I've made, or they make me, have to do with AI. And you have seen it. There are big examples of how AI is being applied, but now the $1 million question is how is this going to impact us, the doctors, the call center people, our work. And from Sanitas, we see it very clearly. Everything that we have seen today, we have been able to accomplish because we have a great team behind. Great team of professionals, nurses, doctors who understand the patient very well, the customer very well, and can accomplish all these projects. So AI has to make sure that these great teams can do much better. We have seen great examples where we want a doctor to look into your eyes, to smile, and be concerned about you, and not just, you know, um, working with a keyboard. Not take a long time in reading your personal medical history, but having the copilot help him to see where to go straight away. So the message is very clear. AI is certainly going to change how we deliver medicine, but it will make our professionals, our doctors, to be able to shine much more in a world where that personalized touch is even more important. So my last message is that that journey is not easy. There are many challenges, and all of us here, many of you from the health industry, some of you coming from neighbor industries. I'm asking you to come along with us in this journey so that in 12 months' time we can have another event like this, tell you many more things about the future, which is not so far away. It is much closer. And all thank you to your cooperation. I hope you've had enjoyed the event, and I'm dying to be at the 2027 Sanitas Health event. Thank you.